Welcome one and all to the first video on my brand new channel and a new series that I'd like to call Weekend Review. I'm going to review the weekend's football and talk about my opinion on the biggest stories that have happened over the course of that weekend. We're going to start off with the biggest news of yesterday, and that is Dimitri Payet's £25 million move from West Ham. Finally, he's got his move after what seems like forever. At the start of the month, Slaven Bilic came out and said that Dimitri Payet was not leaving. He didn't want to play for the club, but he was not leaving the club. And after Marseille's, I believe, 3 or 4 failed attempts to sign Payet, West Ham eventually gave up when Marseille went for £25 million. Dimitri Payet is reportedly taking a 30% wage cut to move back to Marseille, the club that he joined West Ham from, for just £11 million last summer, the summer of 2015. So, yeah, that is quite a big drop for a player of such a big talent as Dimitri Payet. Don't get it wrong, Dimitri Payet is world class. He was one of the star players for France at the Euros, and if it wasn't for his efforts last season, West Ham would have been nowhere near the position they finished. So it is a massive loss for West Ham, but they appear to be playing better without Payet than with him. So it could actually benefit the team as a whole, rather than just depending on Payet. But for Payet, I'm not too sure. Obviously, he's gone for personal reasons. He's not gone to a Real Madrid or a Barcelona or an Arsenal. He's not gone to a better club, and he's not gone for money either, which is strange of a player just to move solely for personal reasons and take a wage cut of that magnitude as well. It's quite big, especially since I believe he was on something like 150 grand a week at West Ham, which is incredible. So he's taken quite a big wage cut to go back to Marseille. But the whole situation's been really, really toxic, with West Ham fans calling Payet a snake. But the thing I find strange is we haven't really heard Payet's side of the story. Slaven Bilic was the one we heard it from. We heard Bilic come out and say that Payet didn't want to play for the club. And I feel it is rather weird that Bilic came out so bluntly to say that. I'm not quite sure what was going on. Maybe West Ham were actually trying to force Payet out of the club after he said that he wanted to move back to Marseille. I am not too sure. Maybe they were trying to vilify Payet, because if West Ham had just sold Payet straight up, I'm pretty sure the fans would be going mad. But if they could vilify Payet and make him seem as the bad guy, then they get the credit for selling him. So I'm not too sure who's really to blame for this. I'm not sure if Payet is the one who really pushed through this move, or if it's the board themselves. One thing for definite, Payet moved solely for personal reasons. Like I say, a 30% wage cut and move into a lesser league, and not exactly one of the top teams in that league either. So solely personal reasons. You can't. I don't personally blame the guy. Obviously, I'm not a West Ham fan, but I can feel betrayed. I can feel the betrayal that West Ham fans feel due to this. But I just take it with a pinch of salt, because I do have my own little conspiracy in my head that it may be the West Ham board trying to vilify him. Right, so that was the only major bit of news over the weekend. Onto the fixtures, and oh boy, the FA Cup. The magic is back in the FA Cup, big time. Let's talk about probably one of the biggest upsets of the season. Wolves beat Liverpool 2-1 at Anfield. And do you know what? I actually called this result. I didn't call the scoreline, of course, but I called Wolves upsetting Liverpool. Liverpool are in a dire situation right now. Absolutely dire situation. I believe they've not even won a single game this calendar year, which is worrying. I believe they've got one game left of this month, and that is against Chelsea tomorrow. So that is not going to be easy for Jurgen Klopp. They've suffered since losing Sadio Mane and having Joel Matip suspended as well. He was back, I believe, for the game against Wolves. But they've definitely suffered from the original loss of Matip and Sadio Mane, he should be back. I'm not sure if he'll be back for the Chelsea game, but he'll be back in February for definite, now that he's out of the African Cup of Nations. But what a result that is for Wolves, into the last 16 of the FA Cup. A historic club, Wolves. And I feel like this is something their fans have really been waiting for. Ever since they've been relegated from the Premier League, they've had a torrid time. And I don't think they've been this far in the competition for quite some time. So, Wolves fans, enjoy it while you can. Let's hope you get a really good draw as well. Who knows, you might even draw one of the lower league sides, get an easy fixture, and possibly see yourselves into the last 8, which would be great for you. But a brilliant result for Wolves, and torrid time for Liverpool. Some other big shocks that happened. Millwall beat Watford, another Championship side, beating another Premier League side. I actually called that one as well. Then you've got Fulham, who beat Hull 4-1, comprehensively beating Hull. I was shocked by that result, considering how well Hull played against Manchester United in the Capital One Cup game the other day. EFL Cup, sorry. It has too many names. Just stop it. Just stop renaming the competition, please. Oxford put 3 past Newcastle, which was incredible. Lincoln beating Brighton. Top of the table Brighton got beaten 3-1 by conference side Lincoln. What a day for Lincoln. And another conference side that beat a Championship side, Sutton United, beating Leeds 1-0. Incredible result for non-league sides in the FA Cup. Just to have 2 non-league sides in the last 16 of the competition is great. And another thing is, I believe we've only got 7 Premier League sides left in the competition. Depending on Leicester getting through, as they drew with Derby. I was actually expecting Derby to win that game on Friday, but Leicester got one back late on. They will play a replay of that game at the King Power Stadium, and we'll see who goes through. But I believe it's either 7 or 8 Premier League teams left in the competition. Out of those Premier League teams left, you've got Manchester City, who comprehensively beat Crystal Palace. Chelsea swept Brentford aside. You've got Manchester United, who eased to a 4-0 win over Wigan. Spurs, who made a difficult, very, very difficult task of Wickham. I believe they only led for the last kicks of the game. They scored in the 96th minute, I believe, against Wickham. This is one game where I've actually seen all the goals, and I have to say it's really, really cruel on Wickham. The way they've gone out, Spurs, just what a sigh of relief for Spurs fans. If they had gone out in that manner, they would never have lived that down for the rest of the season. After the humiliation of the ending of last season, to have that again would just not work, but they're through as well. And then Arsenal, probably the shock result from the Premier League sides who actually went through. Arsenal beat Southampton, EFL Cup finalists, Southampton 5-0. And considering that Southampton knocked Arsenal out of the EFL Cup earlier in the season, this is an incredible result. Arsenal played out of their skin. Both sides didn't go full out for this game. They didn't put out their first teams. So you can't blame it on Southampton just having a second string team out, because Arsenal didn't have their first strength team out either. But Arsenal to go and smash 5 past Southampton, a brilliant performance. Walcott with a hat-trick. Danny Welbeck making his return with 2 great goals as well, using his Salt Bay celebration to full effect. But it has been a really, really interesting weekend in the FA Cup. We've got the FA Cup draw later on today. We will see. I'm really excited to see who Sutton and Lincoln draw. It'll be a great occasion if one of them were to draw a top Premier League side as well. But we shall see, and who knows? Anything can happen in the FA Cup nowadays. Anything can happen. So, as evidenced here, we will see who will go through and who will win it. My bet is on Spurs to actually win the competition. I feel Spurs are one of the hardest teams to actually beat in England, so I said at the start of the season Spurs would win the FA Cup. I'm still going to stick with that. Spurs will probably win the FA Cup, in my opinion. But Manchester United are there. We could hold it. If Manchester United could win a record 13th FA Cup, that'd be fantastic. But, yeah, let me know who you guys think is going to win the FA Cup. Who's favourite to win the FA Cup? And what do you think was the biggest shock of the weekend? Was it Lincoln, was it Sutton, or was it Wolves? I'm probably going to go with Sutton beating Leeds, because what a result for Sutton United. Lincoln are top of the conference, but Sutton United to beat Leeds is a fantastic result. So I'm going to say Sutton was probably the biggest upset in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you have enjoyed this video, leave a like on it. Let me know if there's anything I can improve for the future of this series. This is just a trial run of this, so let me know in the future. I'll be doing a Premier League's prediction video later on, so if you're interested in that, then subscribe to the channel and get all my future content. Thank you guys all very much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you later. Bye!